Kawai Kawai mga kawayans! Magandang araw po sa inyo lahat. Mitch po, nagpapakilala para sa ating panibagong podcast na galing sa Pinoy, para sa Pinoy at gawang Pinoy. Pero syempre, welcome po lahat ng gustong maging kawayans! Mga kawayans, actually, medyo seryoso at sensitibo po yung topic natin for today. Kaya naman, naisipan namin mag-imbita ng mga experts na tutulong sa atin para i-discuss yung topic natin ngayon. Actually, hindi siya masyado gaanong pinag-uusapan sa Pilipinas dahil medyo tabu yung topic na to. Dahil kapag sinabi mo po na about mental health, iniisip agad ng tao na may sira sa ulo. Ganun po kasi agad yung perception ng mga tao in general. So ngayon po, pag-uusapan po natin siya. Kasama po ang ating special guest na si Ms. Raquel Salinel. Ms. Raquel Salinel is an award-winning broadcast journalist, an advocate of mental health, Dakilang Bayani Awardee 2020, at graduate siya as cum laude ng St. Louis University in Baguio City. Kasama din po natin si Dr. Rommel Sergio, PhD in Counseling Psychology, UAE Mental Health Advocate, summa cum laude in De La Salle University, at Dakilang Bayani Awardee 2020. Ayan, maraming salamat po sa inyong pag-join sa atin for today. Actually, na-mental block ako, guys. Na-starstruck ako. As in, kilala po kasi si Ms. Raquel Salinel dito bilang isang broadcast journalist at parati siya nakikita sa TV. Isa din po siyang news representer sa isang local radio station na Tag 91.1. So, it's an honor to have you both here po.
The honor is ours.
Thank you very
the honor
much.
is ours.
It's the other way around. Yeah.
So, pag-usapan po natin yung about sa mental health ngayon dahil very timely po siya actually. Lahat ng tao pinagdadaanan to. Kahit saang dako ng mundo, hindi lang Pilipino, kahit na ibang lahi, very timely siya dahil lalo na ngayon, may pandemic. Doc?
Apo. Sabi nga po namin kanina, ang karangalan po ay nasa amin dahil hindi lagi napapagbigyan ng opportunity na magkaroon ng panahon na gaya nito. No? So, palagi ko po sinasabi sa mga interviews, kahit sa mga balita, wherein nandiyan din si Ma'am Raquel Salinel, na ang mental health issue is actually a silent pandemic. Bago pa magkaroon ng pandemic, may silent pandemic na. And that happened to be, sinabi mo nga kanina, para nagkakaroon ng stigma, we don't talk that much. Pero ang maganda, revolutionarily, nagkakaroon na rin talaga ng openness ang Filipino community for that matter. As a matter of fact, hindi pwedeng maano lang marriage mo without a psychologist representing that cycle na pwede magsabi na, hey, psychologically incapacitated ka. So, yun, maganda. Meron na ngayon professionalized approach para doon. So, somehow to give an introduction dun sa aspeto ng mental health, may tatlong aspeto tayong tinitingnan para masabing balanse yung nandun ka sa status ng mental health or normalcy. No? You have your the physical aspect, the mental aspect, and of course, you have the social aspect. Pag yung tatlong yun, aspeto na yun ay balanse, we can say na, okay, gladly, normal tayo. No? So, normal individuals also experience some turbulence in their life. Na hindi lahat tayo perfecto, na everyday may stress tayong kinakaharap. So, the fact na hirap ka mag-drive, papunta sa work mo, wala kang sasakyan, no? Nagko-commute ka, stress yan no? Yes. So, pwedeng mag-swing yung mental health mo into mental issue or mental concern. But not exactly you being said na kinakailangan mo nang magpatingin sa psychiatrist o sa psychologist. So, yan yung gitna. So, kinakailangan maintindihan natin na hindi tayo free from any stress. Pag nag-swing, parang pendulum yan Pag nag-swing siya from mental health, mental problem or mental concern to mental illness, nandiyan na yung height. You really need to consult a specialist or what we call mental health practitioners. In that way, mas ma-clinically diagnose po tayo kung nasan ba tayo dun sa tatlong aspeto na yan. No? So yung third aspect na sinabi ko is hindi ka na makaperform masyado sa trabaho mo, even your responsibilities as a private individual, so may pamilya tayo, anak din tayo, maaaring magulang tayo, we have multiplicity of roles Pag yung multiplicity of roles na yun, hindi mo nagagampanan in any way, consistently, from being a private individual to a professional, dyan na yung pumapasok yung mental illness. So, depression ang magandang sabihin ngayon na leading mental health issue or mental issue na kinakaharap ng karamihan ngayon.
Well, Doc, when it says depression, ano po ba yung mga causes ng depression?
Ayan, ang gandang pag-usapan yan kasi ngayon marami sa ating mga kababayan ang bigla na lang makakaramdam ng depression at some point in time. Women are very much prone to it kasi biologically maraming paces wherein dun pa lang sa magkakaroon ng menstruation or mag-e-end na yung menstrual cycle mo or yung lactating mothers, marami kasing imbalances sa kumbaga sa hormonal imbalances nila. So nagiging triggers 'yon for depression to come in. So yan, maraming aspeto yan lalo na pagka nag-reach na ng 45 and beyond. Lalo na pag nagfe-fade out na yung menstrual cycle talaga ay marami na dyan nararamdaman. No? So pag bumaba yung estrogen level ng babae, most likely, makikita mo doon na nag-spike na rin downwards yung boosting ng hormones, ng happiness hormones. So biological, it's to capture that very important question of yours. Secondly, meron din na pinanganak na talaga na lacking yung release ng happiness hormones. No, marami tayo niyan. You have yung endorphin na nakukuha mo through exercising, or through physical activities. Meron din dyan yung talagang integrated na. Dalawa yung biologically masasabi natin doon, responsible talaga dyan, na napaka-interesting na pag-usapan. The brain releases, neurotransmitters that ignite, those happiness hormones. Pangalawa, meron din part ng ating glands, no, na pwede naman na mag-secrete noon. Based doon sa pancreatic activities. So, yun yung hormones mismo. Pag galing sa utak, neurotransmitters naman siya. So
dalawa pala yun.
Dalawa yun. So, pag hindi proper yung nutrients na intake natin, isa pa yun, malnutrition can also be a factor. Hindi natin alam na we have second brain yung small intestine, na pagka na-feed yun ng tamang nutrients, nagtatransport sa body natin yung mga nutrients na yun, it boosts the happiness hormones and the neurotransmitters in the brain.
Oh, so it has something to do pala. Akala ko kasi, Doc, sa mind lang siya. Kasi di ba sabi nga nila, saturated yung mind natin ng chemicals.
Yes.
So it has something to do din pala with our digestive.
Oo, digestive tract na magta-transport nun. So yung gut na tinatawag GUT, the gut, the second brain, it looks literally a second brain, yung small intestine natin. So biological, you have your genetic, and then yung given na may malfunctioning ng release ng hormones. So pangatlo 'yon. Fourth is environmental, psychosocial, no? May mga tao sa paligid mo na sobrang depressed. Totoo rin 'yun kasi na nakakapag-release ng negativity yung environment din. Ang interesting na bagay na dapat din ma-discuss natin is yung brain pala is talagang totally negative by its sense. So
by
yung
nature, gano'n?
kasi nagkakaroon kaagad ng pag hindi mo naintindihan yung isang bagay, ang una nag-activate sa iyo yung emotional response. And normally we call it ant. Literally na ant na langgam, no. Yung automatic negative response system natin natitrigger at automatic negative thought. Triggered agad siya. So yun agad ng unang pumapasok sa eksena. So you feel negative about things. So pag hindi mo na counter-regulate yon, at lalo yung education has a big role kasi. So pag na-educate ka for that matter, yung instead na emotional response yung pumapasok, it's the rational response. So pinakamalaking part kasi ng brain yung emotional part. So yun, pumapasok diyan yung emotion regulation challenge.
What are the signs of depression since na-umpisahan natin i-discuss?
Opo. So, ang dami lang different, may mga slight differences lang din pagka anxiety and depression. No? So, yung anxiety kasi pumapangalawa yan para silang magkapatid. So, pag depressed ka, normally, you don't sleep and eat on time or you have these patterns na hindi mo talaga nakikita na nandoon. So, most likely, you can't sleep at night or you are depriving yourself to eat, Or most likely kabaliktaran, you oversleep. So yung insomnia versus hypersomnia. Hypersomnia sa umaga naman siya. People who tend to sleep for long hours, no, a lot, sa hapon, tanghali, ganyan. Bukod sa maring hindi nakakatulog sa gabi o nakakatulog naman. So basta prolonged sleep patterns. Pero din dyan yung type na either hindi makakain o sobra go overeating naman. So kita mo yung impact, either papayat o tataba. No? So kasama yan dun sa thought. But most likely, ang isa sa nakikita mo is negative thinker talaga eh.
Yes.
Na negative thinker talaga yung mga depressed na tao. Kasi ang one thing that is out of the equation is hope. So if you feel like you don't believe that there's one ultimate supreme being, which is our God, who can govern our life, at this point in time, pag yan yung nawala, talaga most likely madidepress ka. Kasi you don't feel like no one is there for you, even your family. And ang isa pang surprising fact is that 80% of people who are depressed do not even realize they are depressed. So they don't even seek help. They tend to avoid and they think that it's okay to be passive. So kung mga estudyante ngayon, mga even adults na nandyan lang sa bahay pero they even tend to use hood,
Yeah.
Ayun, may konting manifestations na yan na makikita mo. They tend to withdraw in the social environment. Of course, that's part of that. At yun, they have a lot of worries in their head. They're typically very, very negative about things. Small things that is in the open, kahit good news na yan, they will not be able to see that as a good news.
A positive.
So hindi talaga sila in appreciation of things, the beauty of life and all that. Kasi nga yung hope nawawala, it fades out eh. So mahalagang tingnan natin yung aspect na yun kasi pag nagko-conduct na kayo ng parang one-on-one counseling, or I would say more on, we call it more of first aid nowadays. You don't need to be a psychologist to limit yourself from saying, I'm not psychologist, I don't think I can provide. No? Sometimes you just need a listening ear.
On that note, Doc, when is the best time to seek medical advice?
It's a good thing to see, pero wag ka muna mag-jump doon. Let's just see na you as a family member or as a friend or as a colleague has seen the need to extend yourself, do it. No? Hindi, kaya na sinabi ko kanina, usong-uso tong psychological first aid. No? Alam ni Ma'am Raquel yan. Dahil ang dami naming tinrain sa community na may capacity to reach out. Nandiyan na yung empathic skills. That's the most basic thing that would be seen. Pero kung sa palagay mo, yung mga tao sa paligid mo, na tinry na talaga ng gusto, and then it's high time for you to reach out. No? So sa mga kababayan po natin, na talagang masasabi natin na hindi, not blessed with the financial state right now. Lahat naman ng nakita natin ng mga tao sa paligid natin, Filipinos man or non-Filipinos, talagang salat sa ngayon.
Struggle,
So, we do refer them sa isang platform na involved din si Ma'am Raquel in a sense that we are coordinators. We're not necessarily the one providing counseling, but we're helping out, on so many aspects for that program. So, it started even before the pandemic, but of course, it's more intensified during the pandemic time, up to this point in time. So, it's online counseling platform. Perhaps later on, Ma'am Raquel can give more information about Sandaline. It's entirely Philippine-based counseling center, from which we also have tapped individuals in the UAE. So part of the organization I was once I have established in 2018, PSP is Psychological Society of the Philippines. UAE chapter, we're able to come up with different programs, and that is one of those programs that we are helping out for our kababayans. So yung question mo kanina is really a very good question in a sense na kailan ba natin masasabi? So parang tingin mo, pag nagawa mo na yung part mo on a personal level, mag-reach out ka muna kasi minsan, ganyan yan eh, yung gusto lang nila may makinig sa'yo.
Yeah.
So I had one student in the past na talagang tatalo na siya dun sa building. She just talked to the Lord na, I hope there will be one person who can talk to me. And as of this very moment, and I didn't know I was that vessel, that can inspire that person. And then eventually that person not just graduated, but nights ago, she was commending me. She was even saying all of this. I didn't even know. It transpired. She turned out to be a very good student leader, back in LaSalle. So, yun ganun ba na may makita ka lang, it will not really cost much of your time and energy, no? Pero parang may nag-reach out na sa atin, generally, it's Facebook man yan or in different modalities. Huwag mong baliwalain na may isang tao na nagsabi na implicitly or explicitly ng problema nila. And then you just let go of that moment. No? Tapos nalaman mo na lang may hindi magandang nangyari. So, iyon yung iniiwasan natin. No? So, sooner or later, siguro may mga cases tayo na needless to state who they are. Pwede namin mabigay yung complete picture. I know it's part of your agenda, kumbaga, talking points natin today. That will be good. So, bago mo i-consider na mag-reach out sa professionals. So, sabi ko nga sa lahat ng karamihan sa ngayon. So, i-refer lang natin sila dun sa Sandaline, Ugat Sandaline namin. And then later, Ma'am Raquel can also specify some of the services we can provide. It's just rewarding na not entirely to change their life, but to change their perspective with mental health na kailangan pag-usapan ito. It's not a taboo anymore. Hey, we are in the modern age now. Correct. It's high time for us to really look into a more positive state of addressing it, no? So, yan nga, bumapasok ng psychological first aid na hindi mo na kailangan maging psychologist. Pero if you think na masyadong organic, mechanismic, or kailangan i-bring mo na dun sa medical attention, nandiyan na talaga yung mga specialists natin to do that. Pero yun, magandang magkaroon ng awareness na kailangan pag-usapan to sa individually, inside the family. You need to really talk about it, process it. Yung thought processing kasi natin these days talagang kailangan ma-channel din yan in a more positive way. Eh. Pag hindi natin nagawa yun, we come to ignore about it, magigising na lang tayo isang araw, malala na yung sitwasyon.
Yeah, so true.
So, prevention is better than cure, as they say. Yeah.
Did you have any cases, Doc? Sample cases na pwede nyo i-share sa amin?
Yeah, of course. Yung encounter namin a year ago with Ma'am Raquel Salinel, well, we're in almost the rest of the family members underwent depression and suicidal episodes. Yung self-harm na tinatawag natin sa ngayon, more term that we're using instead of suicide. Yun na, disheartening yun eh, kasi nakita mo mismo yung tao na yon as the head of the school, managing multi-diverse environment, tapos ma-confront ka sa ganon. We were able to empower them on how to do the proper channeling. So kung paano yung countermeasures, yung response na gagawin mo. Nasa loob pa lang kasi ng classroom yan. Let's just say for example, a typical school, no? Malaki talaga yung role ng guro, no, other than the parents. Kasi yung parents, once na na-absent yan sa picture, they're not even aware. Sabi ko nga kay Ma'am Raquel Sanila, nag-interview siya sa akin months and years ago. Kasi marami sequence yung ginawa ni Ma'am Raquel na atake doon sa ano eh. At yung question mo kanina, na sabi ko nga, na-address natin yan in so many levels. So, sa community, sa media, particularly yung influence ni Ma'am Raquel Sanila, na ginagawa niyang positive platform yun eh, no? Para maintindihan ng typical na parents, no? At teachers and all that. So in case na isa ko other than that, I think na nadurog talaga yung composite nung outlook mo in a sense, no? Na makita mo yung dalawang estudyante na isang araw lang yung pagitan na nagkaroon ng successful na suicide case. So maraming attempts, ang lalaki mas maraming cases ng nagtuloy sa suicide, successful attempts na nauwi doon. Pero ang babae, mas marami yung attempt pero hindi natuloy. No? Kasi nga, alam naman natin yung mga lalaki, mas aggressive pagka nakakuha ng paraan to end their lives compared to a typical, yung sa female camp, kumbaga. Pero going back to that aspect is, yung aspect na yon nung nangyari na, hindi lang siya kasi yung bereaved parents ang dapat mo i-counsel eh. You also need to consider 360 degrees counseling. I had to go that far to talk to the administrators, the owners of the school, the teachers. We have to run series of workshops na hindi mo nyo ito na-pick up na nasa classroom, nag-drawing na ni-strangulate yung ulo niya. Hindi mo pa na-pick up yan na may tendency. Yung essay niya, so sad. That when we call it content analysis, pag content analyze mo yung ay may element of killing himself or herself na. Yes, so yung bang aspect na yun, natitingnan natin na 360 degrees, I have to run series of workshops, not just one session with the educators, with the teachers. Yung classmates nila nakakakilabot, no. Tanungin mo yung buong, and I literally have goosebumps now, na yung inipon mo na more than 100 na kaklase at intersection for that particular batch, when you ask them the final question, I had this activity, so it's kind of technical and psychosocial activity. Yung last question was, do you have an intention to kill yourself? And 25% of the students in that particular batch, more than 100, I'm talking about more than 100 students here, lahat sila tumayo. Kasi ang part ng question mo, tatayo ka if that's you. So we have to conduct individual counseling, no, after nung group counseling na yon. So ganun po ina-address yung mga issues na yan. It's not just centralized to the family where this happened para hindi lang maproteksyonan yung the rest of the family members. Baka may sumunod na kapatid, pinsan, you know. Prevention talaga yung gagawin mo. But far beyond that, maraming programs kasi ngayon na in our own specific way. Kasi ngayon nakasentro kami sa educators, which we believe, you know, when you properly go that far, tapos yung parents on the side, minute din namin eh. So, disheartening na, alam mo yun, yung, syempre, naturally, mag-vent out yung namatayan. Pero far more than that, nakakahawa yung thought ng suicide ngayon according to global studies. It's something that the rest of the people, not just those in the class, but also those in the workforce. Now, one of the people probably you may have heard have done that, and once before these people would pass away, you may have spoken to them and they mentioned to you that it's okay to kill yourself because you will not have any problem at the end after that circumstance, no? But you don't see the actual value of life there, you know. Of course, it's not our life to take.
Yes.
We just borrowed this life, you know, from our ultimate creator. So dapat maalala lagi natin yan.
So on that note, Doc, bakit sila nag-end up killing themselves?
Okay yan. So, yung manifestations, binanggit ko na kanina, no? So, ranging from many of those, hindi makatulog, hindi makakain, or prolonged sleeping. Ako, I noticed, kahit nung my mom passed away in 2015, gusto ko talaga magtulog, no? I was even sleeping, this is funny, but I had 18 hours of sleeping time, no? Dire-diretso for 18 hours, nakakatulog ako niyan. And recently, itong moment na na-realize ko na lang, ay, wala na pala akong trabaho, no? Yung 3 weeks na yon na tulog lang talaga ako ng tulog, no? So, parang yun na nagiging coping ko. So, na-realize ko na lang, okay, ito yung mga signs, no? So, kasama yon na other than pag-awake ka, puro worries, puro negativities, of course, it happens, no? At alam nyo naman, kahit naman mga famous people, stars, take a look at those. Of course, Robin, you know what happened to Robin Williams, di ba? At the onset, humorous movies pa ang nakikreate niya or he was into that. Pero hindi natin alam kasi camouflage siya ng karamihan eh, no? Yun yung at an onset na makikita mo eh, but it's just the tip of the iceberg you're viewing, no? So yung karamihan ng layers, hindi mo alam. So sila yung nasa danger zone pala.
Yung depression, Doc, pwede ba siyang mag-reoccur once, kunwari, you seek medical help? Pwede ba siyang
maganda
ulit?
Maganda yung question mo. Ang mas matagal na, ang madalas na nagre-recur talaga, yung biological aspect na sinasabi ko. So, mas matagal yung gamutan, yung treatment. Pag one of your parents basically have it, or yung embedded na talaga siya sa system mo, no? So, unlike yung environmental, yung naging cause, like, na-depress ka lang just because ang daming triggers, na-test talaga yung core mo, no? Mas hindi recurring yan according to experts. So, yun yung magandang aspect on. Pero yung kanina na question, going back to your very good question on the side, yung ano ba yung mga factors, no? So, napag-usapan natin somehow yung causes, no? Yung root causes, then yung symptoms. There are a lot of other factors that could trigger that, no? So, yun, maaring yun nga, on the side, nandyan yung imbalances sa biological component, plus yung psychosocial, no, yung influences ng ibang tao, maaring the way you were reared in some other culture, sabi nila, no, it's okay not to talk, no. Men have that kind of thinking,
parang
na
weakness kasi sa kanila.
Exactly. So maganda rin makita mo yung aspeto na why they don't talk as much as women do, no. So, nagiging factor din kasi yun na you don't reach out to the environment, you don't realize the value of talking, communicating. So, yun, mas na-elevate yung level ng depression. So,
sa depression, Doc, usually nakikita ko yung mga tao. Sometimes, sa mga lalaki, sabi nga, it's weakness kung pinakita nilang parang weak, umiiyak sila. But is crying, can crying help?
Yeah.
Minsan, pagpapalabas ng emotion mo, nakakatulong po ba yun?
It does. So, nandyan ka na yun dun sa surface na question na how do we address depression? Nandiyan ka na sa question na yan eh. Well, it's one of the activities or outlets, no? Kaya nga, pwedeng sabihin natin na di ba gumagaan naman talaga yung pakiramdam mo pag nailabas mo?
Yes.
The fact na that you have just spoken to somebody else, nailabas mo lang, somebody listened, not necessarily have given you information on how to cope.
Correct.
Ang laki na bigla nung relief, no? It's such an emotional relief. That is essentially true, no? It's sa psychology ko tawag natin din is catharsis. Yung catharsis yung state na kung saan bumaba yung level ng worries and thinking and emotional trauma kung may trauma man dyan. Kasi nga nailabas mo. So it's really very important that you have this outlet. May it be your passion for artistry, is it music, is it planting trees, you know? So ang daming outlet na pwedeng gamitin as a channel para yung tinatawag natin na transgression ng emotion, mabawasan or somehow maging normal.
You know what, Mitch? Nung na-mention niya kanina about pag-iiyak na pwedeng makarelease. No?
Yes.
Now I'm thinking about it. As you know, meron kaming mga creative ways, no, to prevent or to combat depression. That's what we have been doing. Nagkaroon kami ng relationship. I'm having an affair with him because of the mental issues and depression. Kasi yan yung
Which is a good relationship.
which is a very good
Yes.
relationship. So we're grateful to this program because
Thank you
you're talking about it and you're talking about it.
Because I myself is experiencing.
You have gone through it.
I'm in the stage of in denial.
Okay. All right. Now I think you have accepted it already. Kasi
Acknowledgement.
She has acknowledged.
Yeah, you have you really have to acknowledge, and then accept. And then do something
Do
about
something
it.
about it.
Okay. So, kaya kami nagkaroon nga ng relationship because of him as well. So, you might be wondering, anong ginagawa ng isang chismosa dito? Legitimate chismosa na nandito sa advokasya ng mental health. Ano? Ngayon, nasa Kawai Kawai kami ngayon.
True.
Kasi, sabi ko, dahil sa kanila, may nag-self-harm. Better say it's self-harm than suicide. Dalawang
neutral.
bata. Pareho tayo eh. Iba yung tumama sa akin sa dalawang magkasunod na araw, may dalawang bata na nag-self-harm. Okay lang medyo yung matanda. Hindi rin okay mag-self-harm ang matanda.
Of
Pero
course.
kung ang bata dumating kasi 'di ba, ang mind ng mga bata hindi pa mature. And dumating sila sa ganung sitwasyon. Talagang heartbreaking. So
It
sabi
is.
ko, it's not enough that I should just be a reporter. I should do something about it. It's not enough that I should just report about suicide, depression, mental health issues. I should do something. So sabi ko, total meron tayong connection, total meron tayong resources, meron tayong kakilala katulad ni Doc Rommel na hindi natutulog. Thinking about how to do these things. Libre yung binibigay niyang serbisyo sa
thank
mga
you so much,
wards
Doc.
natin. Oo, talagang kakaiba tong tao na to.
Yes.
Sumama pa to sa Africa, sabi. When I said, can we go to Africa? Oo na lang siya. Siya
Clutch
nagbayad
na document niya yan.
Oo, grabe. So, hindi kami natutulog because may mga tao. Ang sami-samin kasi, kahit na isang soul lang ma-save namin, okay lang.
There's a simple premise we're operating, both of us.
Kahit isa lang.
Would operate.
So,
Kahit isa lang.
you are on the right track. Kahit na isa lang yung manood dito, panalo ka na. Kumaway ka na.
How much more? Ang dami mong followers.
Oh,
diba?
30,000 yata yung nakita kong
Isa sa
nag-likes
mga,
ng ano eh.
And some of them po, nagko-comment talaga, na-depress sila ngayon.
No, that's very good. So,
Yes.
this program is for you now. Alright, so what we have been offering, sabi ko nga, natuwa ko na sinabi mo na, pwede palang maging, kasi yung sa amin is a creative way to combat depression. So, what we have been doing, nag-provide kami ng photography, nagturo kami ng basic photography. Libre din yun.
Wow.
So, sa susunod, pag nire-run natin yan, why don't you join?
Yes.
Kasi kahit na yung mobile lang, you can take a picture.
Photos, yes.
Just to express
Yes.
and to see beauty and you'll be happy. Tapos nagkaroon kami ng painting. Nagbigay din kami ng painting.
Speaking of painting po, isang sikat na actress sa Philippines, si Ellen Adarna. I think she undergoed also some depression, mental health issue. In-address niya yung kanyang issue through painting. Kasi sabi niya nakaka-calm daw yung kanyang mind. So, totoo po wala talaga yun.
So,
You need to find an outlet.
Oo. Kasi yung with colors, at saka iba, yung style and everything, talagang ma-express nila. So, we also had journaling.
Wow.
Napaka-importante ng
Oh,
journaling.
yes,
Oo.
it is.
I had this story, Doc. Hindi ko alam kung na-monitor mo to sa wall ko. Yung isang kasambahay sa Abu Dhabi, nagkataon na naging amo niya hindi maganda.
Opo.
So, nagjo-journaling siya. Yung anak niya ang nakakaalam ng journaling niya. Tapos, biglang pinalabas ng amo na tumalon siya. Oo. Pero dahil dun sa journaling niya, dun makikita. So, ganun ka-halaga. Isa pang istorya na may kikwento ko talaga. Dito sa Jebel Ali, nagturo kami sa mga not so ordinary nannies. Mga 13 nannies ito sa Jebel Ali. Tapos, tinuruan namin sila mag-journaling. Tapos, isa dun sa nag-attend. Sabi niya, naniniwala ako dyan sa pag-journal na yan. Sabi niya, bakit? Kasi binamigay kami ng mga notebooks lang tsaka ballpen. Sabi niya, kung hindi ako nagsusulat sa notebook na ito, sabi niya, malamang nakakulong na ako. O di lahat kami, bakit? Kasi napatay ko na yung amo ko. So, through journaling, doon niya nilabas. Doon niya nilabas, visit kang amo ka. And everything. Tapos, these are creative ways.
Yes,
no?
yes.
So,
of expressing.
totoo naman, dahil doon, buhay pa siya. Nakakapagpadala pa siya at nakakaya niya yung pagbumura ng amo niya. So, it's just matter of, channeling your thoughts. So,
Especially your negative energies.
Negative energies. So maraming sitwasyon na, tama si Doc, kailangan, ngayon, hindi na rin, let's say, hindi na rin nila makayang magbayad sa mga psychologists, sa psychiatry, or medical intervention, mga ganyan. So, merong nakikinig sa inyo. Merong katulad ng grupo natin. Nagpapasalamat ako sa iyo, Doc. Lagi kang nagsisay yes. Pag nagbigay kami ng mga activities na katulad nito, free photography, painting, journaling, at sa 29, meron kaming free workshop sa ukulele. Music yan.
Wow,
Kasi
exciting.
dahil din sa kanya kasi siyang nagsabi sa amin na dapat one of the ways to combat depression or to address depression, dapat meron kang isang hobby. Aside from pag-exercise, pagkain ng tama, dapat ibahin mo rin yung proseso ng neurons mo, i-challenge mo yung neurons mo, tsaka yung pag-iisip mo, para magkaroon ka ng panibagong way na pag-iisip. Parang yung mind mo ba, Doc,
productive.
So, music is one.
Kasi pag talagang nagkaroon ka ng time na puro pag-iisip, tama yun Pag puro ang energy mo, nakadirect lang dun sa ang dami mong oras na mag-isip.
Yes.
Nada-channel lang yung negative energies mo. Tapos hindi ka gumagalaw, no? So the moment hindi mag-circulate yung blood mo, ayan na. So the moment absent na yung brisk walking sa'yo for 10 to 15 minutes in a day, yun. So lalo nang hindi na napapower up yung brain mo. So maganda yung mga pointers na binanggit niya. Translate na niya. Translate na niya into an activity.
Sabi ko sa'yo, we're having an affair. Because of mental issues and depression. We're doing it for you talaga. So, pero
ang ganda po ng advocacy niyo talaga. Saludo po ako kasi
lalo na siya.
Yes. Napakaganda po kasi life is so precious So, hindi natin siya dapat sayangin.
And it's so short. And it's so short.
Pero they should also believe in prayer.
Of course.
Alam mo, yung isang storya din na nagawa ko, merong naging ka-office mate si Arta, no? Matanda na siya, nasa 50 plus na siya, nagkaroon siya ng utang. Ito yung before yung unang recession. Nagkaroon siya ng utang dahil yung nanay niya matanda na, umutang siya sa bangko. Tapos, biglang nagkaroon ng recession, nawalan siya ng trabaho. So, paano siya? So, ang iniisip niya, utang. So, ang iniisip niya, tumalon. Okay? Tapos, biglang, ganito pa rin, kasi kung nakikinig kayo ng gusto, nanonood kayo ngayon, huwag niyo nang isipin na magpatiwakal sapagkat i-envelope kayo ng darkness. The devil is on the details. And nakikinig lang, kaantay lang yan ng
tamang
sitwasyon. So,
moment.
yung pinaka-weak moment mo. So, ang sinabi niya sa akin when I interviewed him, sabi niya, when he thought about, tumalon, na, binalot siya ng dilim. Pinikilabutan ako. Binalot siya ng dilim, tapos, but the grace of God is always there. So, never forget to pray. Okay? And that's where the hope is. And that's where the grace of God is. Nung binalot na siya ng dilim, tapos biglang may sumigaw na, "Hoy, kuya, ano ginagawa mo dyan?" Ganon. Chismosa rin tulad ko. Na, ano ginagawa mo dyan? But because of that, biglang lumiwanag. Kasi nadinig niya So, if perhaps wala yung sensitivity with the grace of God and of praying and all that, ano na siya, statistics na siya.
I believe so. I support that. Kasi talaga naman, prayer is meditation is a form of
Yes.
relaxation. And
Yes.
it's a form to empower yourself as well eh. So, tama yun na ano. Na mas,
So Doc, pasensya ka na,
Nice
chismosa
ka lang.
talaga ako. So kanina you said something about you went through depression also, or perhaps in that way. Kasi lalo na ngayon, ang dami nawawalan ng work.
Opo.
So, paano mo na-manage yun?
So unang-una, ang ganda rin yung question na kanina na medyo na-cut in between kasi ang dami rin yung mga magandang insertions dun sa ano eh. No? So, technology is one of the other factors. Ang dami ng global studies supporting that. As a matter of fact, naiulat na rin yun. Lahat halos nung progression ng ano bang pinanggagalingan nito. Na-envelope yan ng mga reports ni Ma'am Raquel before. So, if you just want to see more of those, hanapin nyo lang sa YouTube, makikita nyo yan dyan. No? You can even see me as part of those interviews before. So yung technology is one, masin mode lang tayo, you feel bad, that stress becomes depression in the process, lalo na kung may nahina yung core mo.
Yes.
So going back to that particular question, yun nga, kasi akala, una pa bago talaga magkaroon ng detalye, bago pa magkaroon talaga ng lockdown, I felt it's high time for me to move into another university to teach. No? So I have scholarship programs. Sabi ko kay Ma'am Raquel, ang unang ugad na isip ko, paano yung mga scholar ko sa Pilipinas? Paano yung family ko sa Pilipinas? Although my kid is with me, my family is here in the UAE. Of course, typical na Filipino tayo na we don't forget our parents. Siyempre, nandiyan pa yung father ko. I mentioned earlier on, my mom passed away in 2015. So, ang dami pa rin iniisip na, ibang tao agad yung naisip mo, hindi yung, it's not about you anymore di ba?
Sure.
Typical na Filipino tayo
Yes.
So that brought me to that moment na naku, wala akong work, no? Kasi nga yung lilipatan kong work didn't part ng lockdown and all that, hindi nag-prosper. So eventually nakita mo na yung possible work mo sa kabila, hindi rin matutuloy. So ayun na, naisip ko na kagad din ako. Nagkaroon ako ng panic mode one way over the other. Sabi ko, ganito pala yung feeling na nade-depress din na you're full of worries, pagising mo sa umaga o magigising ka na lang madalas sa tulog mo, na umiiyak ka, na hindi mo rin alam kung bakit, na yun pala yung pressure na nasa loob mo na-develop na into depression. Yan na. Tapos nag-overeating na ako, yan. Nung nagkita kami ni Ma'am Raquel sa Salinel a year ago with Sir Art, payat ako eh.
Panay kasi yung gym mo nun.
Oo, panay din ang
Tapos
gym and all that.
nagka-pandemic pa.
Exactly. Bawal din na basta-basta pumasok. Ngayon, open na rin ang gym. Pero hindi ka pa rin nakabalik doon agad sa track na yun. No? Until I found a job, no, with God's grace. Without me pushing myself
May
too
purpose.
hard, may opportunity po na dumating. So, yun.
So Doc, at saka Mitch, I think...
Yan yung trigger ko, loss of job.
Oo. Na marami ngayon na...
Yes.
Yes.
So I think importante rin, Doc, na they should be forgiving to themselves. Kasi ito na siya eh.
Apa.
Mismo siya, advocate ng depression and all that. Dumanas din.
Yes,
siya.
and I withdrew myself, tama
Yes.
si ma'am, I withdrew myself from the core-up service. Hindi ako tumanggap ng speaking engagements, mga webinars on mental health. Kasi I think I'm the one who needs to draw strength
That's
from
true.
above.
Oo.
Na pang hirap magbigay ng something to somebody na you don't have.
Yeah.
That you don't have. So yun, basic principle yun eh. Recognize the need to be helped and help others as much as you can when you see it fit. So isa yun doon sa mga principles ng psychologists natin, mga guidelines in providing assistance to others. No?
Matanong
So,
ko lang, nag-try ka ba ng K-drama?
hindi eh. Honestly.
Ay, marami
Pero
din ako
how I
na
wish
kailangan.
I have had. Pero of course, nakapanood na rin ako ganyan dati. Pero not during the time. Kasi nga siguro nga pag-depress
I've been
ka.
asking you, di ba?
Did
you watch
pag-depress ka. Pero nung time na yun, depress ako. Yun yung time na nag-reach out siya. And yeah, hindi ko man siya na-attendan at the time. Siyempre, may mga napanood na rin ako even before. Pero yun nga, doon ko lang realize na kaya pala hindi ako open for anything. Depressed na ako rin eh, nung time na yun. No? Close-minded ka na. And tama yun, parang nagigrip ka nung darkness kasi parang hindi mo nga makita yung positive side eh. No? So you begin to question,
Yes.
Lord, bakit ganito? Ang dami naman magagandang nangyari in the past na dapat ba ko bang ma-experience to? So pag nandun ka na sa moment na yon, wake up call na yun, oops, hindi maganda to. No? Hindi ko dapat kino-question. I should be thankful to whatever I have right now. So pag nag-central ka dun sa ano yung meron ka, huwag kang mag-deal dun sa wala. Sa wala ka. Mag-deal ka dun sa meron ka kasi maliit o malaking bagay man yan, pag na-appreciate mo, malayo ka sa depression.
Yes.
Yeah.
Balik tayo dun, Doc, sa sinabi mo about pagpapakamatay.
Opo.
Sinasabi nila, often naririnig ko po sa mga taong mag-undergo ng depression, they don't want to die. They don't want to die, but they don't want to be alive either. So, at kapag ka nakikita ko yung mga comment na ganun, ang daming nagla-like.
Talaga.
May mga ganun ba?
May mga ganun.
So, yung mga nagla-like, most likely ganito yan eh. So, lalo na dun sa aspect na pag sinabi na, halimbawa lang, yung aspect na I want to die, tapos may mga nag-like. Yung mga nag-like, most likely, they want to be in that, or they are experiencing that kind of scenario. O yung iba naman magsasabi na, I don't want to exactly die, but, the other way around. I want to be, but I don't want to be alive. So, in between siya doon. Ibig sabihin na entertain niya na eh. Yung thought, yung negative thought, nandun na. So, the moment na may makita ka pa na may mga nagla-like, it's either they're not really conscious about what they're reading, which is a problem nowadays.
Yeah.
No? Dami lang natin ganun. Malike lang kasi kaibigan ko to, pero hindi naman binasa. Malaki kasing implication yan eh. Kung makikita mo yung tinatawag nating social comparison, which most psychologists will agree with me, na yung social comparison is really a problem nowadays, no? Lalo na pag yung tao na akala mo okay lang lagi yung state niya, pag negative na yung pinopost niya, you keep on pressing the like button. Nare-reinforce yung tao on that note na what he or she is saying is right, and most likely, the thought that comes to his or her head is worth taking. So doon natin i-prevent yung sarili natin. Be more responsible, with your comments, with yun sabi ko kanina na double-bladed yung technology. But you need to use the positive blade instead of the negative blade. So the negative blade, wag ka mag-like kung negative yung sinasabi niya. No, you even have this social responsibility to send a private message for that person. Kaya yung sinasabi namin kanina na technology really contributes to it. Although psychologically, yung sa practice natin, may sariling Bible din kasi mga psychologists. No, we have the DSM-5, which is like a classification of mental illnesses. Hindi pa classified dyan yung technology talaga sa loob eh. Pero sabi nga namin ni Raquel, we believe yung talagang technology is a big composite.
Lalo na sa era mo ngayon, diba?
Lalo na ngayon, na talagang outlet
I
na
reported
rin.
that.
Ay, oo, meron.
Meron
She
siyang
reported
study.
that. She reported that.
So I reported that na malaking factor pati yung ilang percent?
61%. Tapos 76% naman yung parents na nagsasabi, professionals and non-professionals na nagsasabi na yung absence lang ng gadget in a day would cause stress or depression in their life. No, so yung 61%, yan yung aspect na technology talaga ay nagko-cause ng stress and depression. Pero 76% na binabanggit namin, it's more on the absence of the use of technology or gadget. So maiwan mo lang yung telepono mo, parang nagpa-flare up. Exactly, that's the term. Nagpa-flare up ka na naku, parang buhay mo yung nawala for that day, di ba? So, ganyan yan, why come to reflect, why is it that hindi ka naman nabubuhay for that device, or for that technology? No? So, pag lagi mo iniisip na you're tied up to it, you're addicted to it, and you can't live without it, ang laki na kaagad nung impact nun sa mental health mo eh.
True.
Kasi what if nawala yung device mo, nanakaw, or unfortunately, naiwan mo elsewhere, hindi mo na-retrieve agad, ayun na, doon na nakasalalay ba ang mental health mo? Di ba hindi naman dapat?
Kasi, di ba, sa mga posting po, like sa mga friends mo sa social media, kapag ka nag-post ka ng something negative, mas madami siyang like. Kunwari, sinabi mo, malungkot ako ngayon, ang daming magla-like, ang daming makikichismis, ang daming magko-comment. Pero kapag sinabi mo, masaya ako ngayon, konti lang, only a few, So, hindi ko maintindihan din yun. Siguro isa sa mga pressure yun.
Sa totoo lang, ang psychology of posting nowadays ay talagang kakaiba. In as much as the psychology of voters, no? Let's not deal with politics. Pero talagang kakaiba, di ba, yung breed of netizens na meron tayo ngayon na ay nako, parang it would really take global studies to picture out saan to nanggagaling. No? Pero yun, tama ka doon. I agree na ganun yung nangyayari. But we don't agree na yun ang dapat na mangyari. Yun siguro yung magandang i-emphasize din natin ngayon.
So you should not stop saying yes to us. And you should not stop also doing a program like this.
You must not stop. Must is most likely something to say kasi nga, sabi ko namin kanina on the side, it's a blessing to have this opportunity because it's the voice of God stating na, hey, don't do this if you think this is really wrong, or these are the signs that you come to be more aware, di ba? It may not entirely be you that that possibly could hear this conversation now. But someone in the family who experiences those signs, na binanggit natin kanina, laki na agad. Sabi nga ni Ma'am Rommel Sergio, isang soul lang yung masave mo. Sa case ko, sabi kong ganun, hindi naman our intention is to change their lives. That's impossible. But to change the mindset, how you see things as they are, ang laking bagay na yan kung maibahagi mo sa iba, it will diffuse positively as it is. Be a blessing to somebody.
Ako this afternoon, what I ngayon itong episode nyo, ang message sa akin is that you should also be kind to yourself.
Yes.
You know, just like what had happened to you, to him, our expert already in depression area or matter, but dadaan ka din dun eh. So, it's one way, di ba? Kasi pag you're too hard on yourself,
That is true.
tapos you end up comparing yourself, bakit mas magaling to? Bakit ganito?
Yeah.
Dati umuutang lang sa akin to. Kung kapitbahay ko na to, bakit ngayon pa niyang punta sa ibang bansa?
Isa
Dati
yan sa mga pressure po, no?
So,
It is.
Yung mga comparison, yung tapos pagka nagiging hard ka nga sa self mo, tapos sasabihin mo sa sarili mo, dapat gawin ko din yan. Kasi dapat ganito din ako. Dapat mas mahigitan ko siya.
Nagiging competition kasi.
Yes,
Instead of
po.
complementing each other,
Correct.
instead of supporting each other, collaborating, nagiging competition ang dating.
tapos ang isa pa, gusto ko lang sabihin is never to fail to be grateful. Be grateful. Whatever happens, be grateful.
Ay, totoo yan. Kasi alam mo, sa bagong studies ngayon, yung pagiging grateful, nagiging dense daw yung ating brain, which pag sinabing na mas nagiging mabigat.
Ano ibig sabihin ng dense?
Mas nagiging mas
Maliwanag.
mabigat. Mabigat. Kumbaga, pag dense, mas nagiging mabigat. Ibig sabihin, mas malayo ka sa mga mental illnesses. No? Yung brain mo daw mas nagre-rewire. So yung act of kindness and compassion, self-compassion, it starts from oneself. Yun binabanggit ni Ma'am Raquel. Mag-start ka lang muna doon. Pagka mas naging kind ka sa sarili mo and then you started to think every opportunity that comes in the way, ang laki pala na impact sa brain niya. No? It's the rewiring of the brain and it becomes, yun nga, mas mabigat, more heavy. Pag naging mas heavy siya, ibig sabihin, mas marami yung neurons mo na nagre-regenerate. Kasi in the past 20 years, ang findings ay kakaiba, no? Sa study ng brain, pag namatay na yung neurons mo, we have around more than 86 billion neurons in the brain. So pag namatay na yan, for some reasons, sobra yung stress. No? So pag the more na stress ka, tsaka pag in-scan mo talaga yung itsura ng brain ng depressed at ng hindi depressed, mas colorful yung scanning sa brain combination ng pula at yellow, no. Sa isa talagang dark, medyo dark. Tapos yun nga yung weight nila magkaiba. So for the simple reason na yun nga na yung mga namatay na mga brain cells mo, hindi na sila nagre-regenerate. But ngayon yung mga studies like yung multitasking, bawasan kasi nakakababa ng IQ yan. Tsaka mas nagiging totoo. Kaya nanonood ka ng TV, kumakain ka, tapos nagsa-social media ka, multitasking na kapag pababa ng IQ. No, totoo yan sa mga bagong studies.
Gagawin yun na.
And of course, pagpupuyat, of course, kasama po yan dyan. So later, I know you still have processing questions sa aspect na ano naman ang magagawa natin.
Yes.
Kasi wala pa tayo dun sa level na yun. So yun, just to continue, yung multitasking on the side, other than overexposure to the use of technology na may radiation din, na less dense yung brain mo. So it means that, let's remember na ang normal individuals process around 70,000 to 100,000 thoughts daily.
Oh.
So from the morning time, pag gumising tayo, you pray to God, that's already a mental process, di ba?
Sure.
Tatayo ba ako sa bed ko? Anong oras ba ako magbabrush ng teeth ko? Anong oras ba ako maliligo? I hope you did, guys, today. And it's a form of self-talk. No? So yung self-talk is very, very important. Just don't make it too loud when you do it. Especially you probably would think that you're alone, but some people may hear you. But may relation kasi tayo sa sarili natin. We have the so-called intrapersonal skills. No, it's our ability to reflect. The more reflective you are, the more you become more conscious, sensitive of the environment where you are. Tingnan niyo mga kababayan natin na ang dami kahit sa YouTube na nagka-energy pa talaga sila para i-press yung thumbs down button.
Yeah.
No? So, very negative signal. Kahit sa Facebook, instead na i-appreciate na lang, love yung i-press, nandun yung disgruntled na image or whatever na negative yung sinesend. Part ng psychologist guidelines kasi on how to promote well-being and happiness is kung wala ka naman masasabing maganda, just leave the
Yeah, wag ka magsalita.
just leave the page as it is.
Yeah.
No? So it's a way to promote kindness, no? So, kang ginasabi ni Ma'am Raquel, mag-start ka sa sarili mo. Secondly, i-outward mo din, no? Yung nandun yung interpersonal naman rather than the intrapersonal. So, ito naman yung sinasabi ko kanina nung sa entrada mo na paano ba natin masasabi na maka-quantify yung mental health? So, binanggit ko doon ng social, no? So, physical, yung ating pag-aalaga sa katawan natin is as good as mental health. Mental, paano natin pinoprocess yung mga bagay-bagay. And of course, yung social, kung paano naman natin dinadala yung thought palabas. No? So yun, pag itong mga manifestations ito sa use of technology na minsan hindi tayo, o madalas, I would say, hindi tayo maingat, Ma'am Raquel, di ba?
Oo.
Na minsan unaware ka din. So yun, dapat i-safeguard din natin yan. Awareness is really the key.
Yeah.
Pagdating doon sa aspect na yan. Yeah.
Ano naman po yung magagawa natin, Doc, to, put an end
Ayan.
to this issue?
Nako, maganda yan. So,
Join us.
Oo, join us. Alam nyo, totoo lang
Join us.
I will share this. Na-inspire ako kay Sir Art, hindi lang doon sa pag-trim down ng weight niya. Pero,
Okay.
ang positive mo napansin nyo ba yun? When you go to physical exercise, nung nag-yoga na si Ma'am Raquel noon, months ago, and probably she's still doing it now. Sabi ko, hindi nila alam yan na hindi, yun nga, minsan hindi mo na intention, pero ang laki na pala nung nai-inspire mo, nabibigay mong inspiration sa mga tao. No? So, I started doing that. So, a year ago, siguro nasa mga 98 kilos ako. Then, I spiked nung nagkasama kami, nasa 76 na ako.
Yes.
Nung nasa Africa kami. So, I added some weight right now, which my doctor and myself happen to be not happy about it though. Pero, nandiyan na yung awareness. So, pag nandiyan ang awareness, it's really, really important. So, awareness is one, no? Pag nalaman mo ng malito, bakit ka pa magko-continue? So, kailangan talaga ma-ingrain yun sa system mo. Knowing is different than acting out on it. So, the moment nandiyan na yung acceptance sa sinasabi niya kanina ni Ma'am Raquel, no? Recognize, means there's awareness, and then accept, that this is really what you need to do. Pagka yun nandiyan na siya, dire-diretso na yan sa acting behavior.
Yes.
Nandun na yung paggawa ng tama.
Okay.
So sabi nga natin, it's different when you know what's right and you still do wrong, no?
Yeah.
So ang laki ng gap sa gitna.
Correct.
So yan, but technically I normally would state kahit dun sa mga previous engagement ko kay Ma'am Raquel at sa ibang community-based mental health natin, yung GRADS, DES na grades, no?
Okay.
Prof yung dating, pero
Okay.
that's the acronym I'm giving. So G stands for grades, no? So G normally stands for something that you need to really go into the flow, no? Yung going into the flow is you need to really think it's mind over matter. No? Going into the flow is mind over matter. You need to see that growth will happen only if you are serious about going into it.
Yes.
No, so that's the G. Yung R is more on reflection, no? Dito yung skills na talagang kulang po tayo ngayon.
Yeah.
Sabi ko nga kanina, babasahin mo lang, magla-like ka lang, pero hindi ka naman talaga nag-reflect. I-apply din natin yun sa sarili natin. Find time for yourself. This is a good thing to look into. Ano ba yung nagpapasaya sa'yo?
Yes.
Deal with the not so necessary or unnecessary things. Ayun nga, wag kang mag-consume ng mga information na hindi mo naman kailangan, na magpapasakit lang ng loob mo, di ba? So that's the R. A, you need to be more effective, no? Self-care is very, very important. So again, overemphasized na. You cannot give something to other people that you don't have.
Yes,
no?
correct.
So drawing strength from within, very, very important in that aspect na binanggit natin sa affective, sa A. No? GRAD, it's more on your ability to develop the skill that is intended for that purpose. Yung skill kasi natin by reading, by looking into what other people, more on the positive of course, no? Don't deal with something that you cannot control. So it's important to look into that one. Lahat tayo nag-upgrade na ng skills natin ngayon. I'm sure Ma'am Raquel later on, she may be able to add up some information on the A, no? E is more on exercise, no? So again, parang ang dami mong iniisip na hindi mo kayang gawin, hindi mo parang there's not something you cannot do pag nag-exercise ka kasi yung boosting naman on the side ng tinatawag natin na happiness hormones endorphin, for example, endorphin nakukuha natin yun sa pag-exercise talaga. Yung pain, when you bear pain as it is, di ba pag nag-exercise ka, masakit yung katawan mo, but eventually na okay ka na. Hindi lang yan sa emotional, kundi sa physical din eh. Mas na, ano man dun dumating sa'yo na pressure, hindi mo kagad iniinda yun eh. Kasi yung endorphin mo mataas. So, yun yung factor na tinitingnan din natin. May impact din siya sa dopamine, more on the love hormones, na yung appreciation mo ba sa tao. Kaya, ang ganda lang na binanggit niya kanina na be appreciative of things that come in your way, small or big.
Yes.
Kasi talagang yun, hindi lang yan dun sa aspect nga ng na-develop na mga studies about the brain. Pero, pagka na-appreciate mo pala talaga yung mga bagay na yan, and you come into terms with the environment, side by side yung exercise, no? So dopamine is more on that, appreciation. A simple tap on your shoulder, di ba nasabihan ka na, ang ganda mo naman ngayon, no? So kanina, sabi ni ma'am, magkahawig kayo. Sabi ko, pareho kayo maganda. So, di ba, it feels good. So give love.
I feel good.
Yeah, give love rather than promote hate.
Yes.
No? So yan yun. Hindi ko man sinabi na wag mo sabihin na maganda kung hindi naman talaga maganda. Mean it. You know? So, and S sa grades, sleep. It's another silent pandemic, no? It's another silent pandemic na hindi lang concentration mo ang sira, no? Kundi talagang yung impaired din yung decision making mo. And you're literally awakening your cancer cells, no? Yeah, most of the findings, there's this Psychology 101 namin, may isang chapter talaga dyan na sleep ang pinag-uusapan. Yung mga deprived sa sleep, you can really see that in a matter of 1 week, pag kulang ka lang, kahit isang oras lang yan, hanggang 2 oras, yung resequencing ng DNA mo, so which means it develops some sort of cancer or any form of cancer there may
Uy,
be.
matulog kayo
So, a silent pandemic din yan, yung sleep, na many people do not know. So, marami sa psychology classes ko ang, napapaano sila na kaya pala, no? So, yun. Pinagbabayaran niya ng katawan mo pag sooner or later. Di ba dati pagka nagtitisis tayo or na-survive natin 2 days in a row, kape lang yung kakampi natin, di ba? Akala mo ang galing-galing mo, pero hindi mo alam ang laki na impact niyan sa health mo.
Hirap kang
Ano
ang
po?
hirap kang makasama kasi parang
Bakit?
gusto mo na lang kausap ka.
Kaya nga,
Parang ayaw mong matapos.
It's my pleasure to
Ayaw,
talk to
kaya
all
nga.
of you,
Ayaw
to
matapos.
both of you.
parang ang ikli ng oras, ano?
I-guess nyo uli.
Ay, oo nga, kailangan may part 2 to.
Kaya dapat yung mga kawaii.
Kawaians.
Dapat sabihin nyo
Kawaians.
kung gusto nyo uling mag-guest si Doc.
Yes.
Anong natutunan nyo kung gaano kagaling si Doc sa buhay nyo ngayon?
Nako. Sige, ma'am, I know ang dami mong na-experience na sa encounter natin, no? Hindi lang sa akin, kundi doon sa mga tao mismo na naging crowd natin. Baka may gusto ka pong idagdag. Doon sa aspect ng
No, ang mensahe ko lang naman sa kanila is that
what we can do ba?
Yes.
Mitch, through your program, gusto lang namin paalam sa inyo na hindi kayo nag-iisa dito sa UAE
Amen.
or wherever
Amen.
you are not alone. And don't forget, and don't be afraid to ask help. Okay? We'll let you know kung paano kami marireach. We have activities, like sabi ko nga dati, may photography for a cause or to combat depression, painting, journaling. Let us know if you want us to have a session with you. It's free as long as you have Zoom or any way. And we have ukulele. We're also thinking of having what's this, salsa? Walang may social
Ganda.
distancing yan
Dancing
kasi
naman yun.
mag-isa mo lang. Sabi niya kasi music. So
Which is another form of art.
so we'll find all ways just to let you have an easy way to combat your depression. And just
Exactly.
to let you know you are not alone. We are
Exactly.
here. And the Sandaline.
Of course.
Okay, we will leave the links where you can seek free counseling para hindi na kayo gagastos pag online ito. Okay,
Yep.
so
Yep.
we're here. Hindi kayo nag-iisa. Have trust in God. There is hope.
Amen.
So, yun na nga, ang ikli ng oras natin. Gusto ko pang mapagkwentuhan sa kanila. Actually, ang dami kong natutunan at alam ko for sure, madaming natutunan yung ating mga Kawaians at yung iba nakarelate dyan dahil sa mga pinagdadaanan nyo. At sabi nga ni Miss Raquel, hindi kayo nag-iisa. Hindi kayo nag-iisa, guys. Kaya nating labanan to. This is only, paano ba to? Mental issue is a serious issue. So, wag nyo siyang i-rub off your shoulder. I-acknowledge nyo siya, i-accept nyo siya, at of course, do something about it. Ayan. So, It was lovely having you guys.
Kawai.
Kawai Kawai, yes. So, sana maimbitahan po namin kayo ulit sa next episode namin.
The pleasure
I
is
hope
ours
so.
po.
Ayan, maraming salamat. So, Kawayans, ang quote of the day po natin ay,
Be aware and do something.
Kawai
Kawai!
Kawai, mga Kawayan! See you again in our next episode. Bye-bye!